As I was rereading Alice in Wonderland, it made me think of these lyrics from, oh, how do you pronounce it? From a Grateful Dead song, Scarlet Begonias. Once in a while, you get shown the light in the strangest of places if you look at it right. And I got that thought and those lyrics from Alice in Wonderland, because that's what happens to her. That's what happens to all of us. It seems like you really don't think of enlightenment and get intuitive hits when you're sitting full and happy and comfortable and warm. And the last thing you want to think about is to be challenged. You just, challenge is not much on our minds at that point. It seems, though, that we learn most when we are out of our comfort zone, when we finally break up with that person we knew wasn't good for us, when we quit that job that lacked opportunity and inspiration, or when we decided to take that trip of a lifetime, even though it is full of challenges. Barbara, I really want to hear about your trip. I think that is what much of what Alice encounters in Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. She spends much of her time in a wondrous environment arguing with those around her about why things can't just be back to normal. When she decides to really listen, though, to those she encounters and suspends her desire for things to just be normal, she learns and she grows, literally. Think how profound the caterpillar's words were. Who are you? He asked her that twice, which I had forgotten. This is a deeper question than Alice realizes at first, and it's true for us as well. It is such a root question. We should ask ourselves this at pivotal points in our lives if we are to become more enlightened. Who are we? What do we stand for? Are we what we limit ourselves to with our measurements of success, or are we much more? Another example would be, sorry, I got lost here. Another example of some rather extraordinary advice occurs when Alice talks with the Cheshire Cat. Would you please tell me which way I ought to go from here, she asks. That depends a good deal on where you want to get to, said the cat. I don't much care where, said Alice. Then it doesn't matter which way you go, said the cat. Years ago, I remember hearing a statistic from an employment study that when people were asked, why do you work where you do? Most responded, because they were hiring. Ideally, people would define what it is they would like from a job, the things that would satisfy their important needs in life, and then look for a job that matches those requirements, you'd think. That's not what happens to most people. Most people end up working for the 40 plus years of our working lifespan in a job or jobs that may not remotely resemble what would be a good match for their personal fulfillment. When Terry and I sponsored dinners for UCSB students in the past, interested in talking about two successful alumni, that would be us, about career paths, we always gave them the same advice. Make a list of the things you want out of a job and then look for a job that matches your needs. Don't waste your life chasing fool's gold for decades while you grow old. Where should you go? That depends a good deal on where you want to get to. Does that sound like familiar advice? Everyone in Wonderland is intimidated by the Red Queen. She's a narcissist, brash, and violent. When Alice finally stands up to the Queen and discovers her own strength, she is freed from the Queen's power and intimidation. Hold your tongue, said the Queen, turning purple. I won't, said Alice. Off with her head, the Queen shouted at the top of her voice. Nobody moved. Who cares for you, said Alice. She'd grown to her full size by this time. You're nothing but a pack of cards. At this point, the whole pack rose up into the air and came flying down on her. She gave a little scream, half of fright, half of anger, and tried to beat them off, and found herself lying on the bank with her head in a lap of her sister. who was gently brushing away some dead leaves that had fluttered down from the trees on her face.